there's always this bloody great big lag. So I've hit go on here now. Right, I've hit go, and it says that we're starting. And there's always this awkward lag bit at the beginning. It says, oh, it says your event is still starting. I have no idea if we're live yet or not. It doesn't tell me on the screen because apparently we are still starting. And we have apparently now started. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to this morning's RC Coffee Chat. YouTube have changed the way in which they work with these videos, and it's a little bit confusing for me, and I do apologise in short for that. So by the looks of it, we are live. So those of you which are on the live version, if you can hear me nice and loud and clearly, audio good. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Right, on to today's topics for today's RC Coffee Chat. Topic number one, awkward! Really awkward. You'll find out about that in a minute. Oh, topic number two is the rapid rubber. You wait till you see that little bad boy. That one's going to rip the sky a new one. It's going to rip the sky such a new one. I've nicknamed it KY. Topic number three is a reptile harrier. It's kicking around here. I might wander off and go and get it in a moment. We'll have a quick look at that one as well. Simon's questions from the FaceBalls group. We will take a look at that one. Saying that, I've got a chat message going on there which I need to take off. So let me just close that a second, and I'll put that back on. There we go. And so yeah, Simon's questions. But I'll do my best to answer those. What the? Last week. Here was. Oh, you'll find out about that in a minute. That next topic, I make no apologies as well. Instaballs is the next topic, and upcoming episodes is our finale for this morning. So good morning, who is on, everybody who's on live this morning. I've just been seeing Joe being a pop-up in the chat as well. So just going straight off topic, Brad, you've seen the motors video. I'm glad there is somebody else out there who owns more motors than what I do. It's like Confessions of an RC Addict. It probably goes down with how many servo control horns I also own as well, and I've culled a load as well. Nuts. We will do shout out corner as well today. I've remembered to set it up, so you have to excuse me. It's been a little bit rusty. I've been a little bit rusty. Right, topic number one, awkward. Right, really awkward. Hobby King a couple of days ago put out a video for the I'm not saying it, I'm not saying the S word, kinetic, because I don't think it is that S word. And if I replaced it with one, this show would not be classed as family friendly. So I'm not saying it's whatever. It's a kinetic, and they've come up with some updated stickers. And as far as we can see, they haven't kind of fixed the issues with this one, because I have an episode which goes out later today, and it's called The Lawn Dart. And this is actually part two, because I've not got round to editing part one where we had the maiden of the not S kinetic. It does fly great. You will get a couple of flights out of it, but it will tip stall on you, and it will snap in half, and the motor mount will fall off in your hands because there wasn't enough glue in there, and it's fundamentally flawed behind the battery bay. So yeah, talk about things being a bit awkward. Is that they've been and released a new version for all intents and purposes. We can see it's exactly the same model as the original with the same flaws in it, yeah. Dirty tip staller, or aka lawn dart. So look out for that episode later today. That one goes out, gets published, and do be aware there is a part one due to come out as well. And I can also it's really weird because it goes from a very excitable static mat, because it does fly once it's in the air. It flies great unless you don't fly it too slowly, and yeah, you got a very excited mat because you can make, because I changed the rudder on it, I managed to make it knife edge. Excuse me, and it was great fun, but within 3 flights I'd snapped it and the nose was hanging off. Not a good start for a model 4, which is, and again, it looks the nuts. Watch the video, you'll get my little my mini review on it, and it's such a shame, but it has now been nicknamed the Lawn Dart, because that's all we can really do with it. Good morning, Andrew, as well, Dad. Brilliant. Topic number 2 is the rapid. I'll move my little baby one out of the way as well. We'll get to the GB in a minute. My rapid bear. I need to turn this around. Can you see that? I need to put my hand in the way. Yes. This was my original rare bear. And the issue which I had with it is that the motor mount area is very weak on these, to say the least. And what I took it out 2 times ago, 2 flying sessions ago, and it was always climbing underneath the throttle. And I'd made a mistake, is that when I re-glued in the motor mount, I had some. The motor was pointing up a bit, so it was always pulling into the sky. There was no sensible way of putting down trim into the motor mount, just because it's an odd little one which goes round the can. Very peculiar. So yesterday I elected to take it out, and I've put a plywood firewall in here, and I've put a very appropriate motor in here, which is the prop drive 2836 3000 kV. In here, we know we need to fit in a great big ESC in here as well, and I'll be running it on 5S as well, because I've got some little 5S batteries which I frankly don't care if I kill. And also, as far as I'm concerned, this model has kind of reached the end of its life, so if I end up killing the model as well, or destroying it, it's not the end of the world. So we do have my rapid rare bear due to get finished this week, and possibly be out flying this weekend with it. Weather permitting, of course. So this one has now been nicked the KY rare bear for obvious reasons, I hope. Good fun. Brilliant. Right. As you may know, Andy B, who we fly with, you may have just seen up there in the chat, has just become a dad again as well. So he's got a new addition to the family. So well done, Andy. And there's Mrs. and his very cute little one as well. Topic number 3 is the Reptile Harrier. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen the maiden video, the FPV fly, and you've only seen part of the final flight which we had with it when we were smashing it in and around the trees. I've got another episode to come out for that one, but it flew great. The only curiosity is that I had to put shed loads, and I mean like shed loads of up trim in it. And I think I've come to the conclusion with the Harrier is that I had perhaps overloaded the airframe. I think that's my conclusion at this present moment in time. And I've not been able to fly it since. I'm just sat here. That's the only thing which I can think which I've done. Because the wing does have reflex in it. I put some photos, not only in the Facebook group, I put them on Instagram as well. Is that there is some reflex in the wing which has been built in. I know ET mentioned in one of the comments that it's just another Chinesian wing. They forgot to do like the basics, but no, there is reflex in the wing. I just think I've overloaded the whole model as a whole by putting too big a battery in it. Hence why I had to put so much up in it. It still took it, and it still flew with it. It was just complete overkill. So perhaps smaller batteries would be more suitable for this model, and I'll be able to prove or disprove that later this week or on this weekend, again, weather permitting. So I think that's my realization with the Harrier, is perhaps I overloaded the wings by putting too much weight in it, hence why we had so much up trim. That said, it did fly an absolute treat. It was overmotored, overpropped, overpowered, and it flew great. There was a lot, and I know this is like a bit of a topic at the moment about contra-rotating props and differential thrust and things like that, especially with the Bushmule being released. And the thing is that we've got to remember is that with a Bushmule, that model has landing gear, so you would want differential thrust to taxi it around. If you watch Sir Andrew Newton's episode on his Bushmule, you'll see the differential thrust is very advantageous, is that it can manoeuvre in a very small area. But the thing is that with a model like the Harrier, well, the motors are on the back and it has no landing gear, and you have elevons, so the elevons are always going to be far more effective than a bit of differential thrust in the back. So yeah, never going to be using it, to be honest, especially on a model like this. And I also give it some other thought as well, is that I don't see any benefit in the Harrier being used as a single motor wing. It is one of those, and it is a very rare model, and I mean a very rare model, which has twin motor mounts on the back of it. There's only one other model which I know of Flying Wing, which has got two motors on the back of it, which was the Skywalker Smart, which I've yet to finish, and fingers crossed get that one out for the weekend as well. The Harrier is designed for two motors, so why you would swap it over and put one motor on it, you're better buying like an X5 wing or something like that, or X whatever they are, and buying one of those wings instead, where it's specifically designed for a single motor, because then you don't have, if you look at the photo there in the background, is that you don't have those two great big lumps where the propeller's going to be, so interfering with the airflow, because you might as well just get a knife out and cut those two lumps off, and then just turn it into a normal wing, which, hey, that might be a good idea for Reptile to release a second version, one for two motors and one for single motors, or you can just chop off the two motor pods and do that way. So yeah, I don't see the point in putting this out. And I know, Andrew, you'll be watching this and you're going, well, I'm still only putting one motor on here. And I get that. But on the other hand, I don't get it, if I'm honest. It's a twin motor wing, and it sounds so good as a twin motor wing. People have asked me how efficient it is. I have no idea. I just cleaned its nuts off for the first 3 or 4 flights, to be honest. One measure which I can give you is that I still had something like 60% battery when the lads had landed their models, which was no big surprise because I was packing double the battery size as what they were. So it wasn't terribly efficient, to say the least, but then I wasn't flying it sensibly-ish. Some good news is that I have started putting an Eagle Tree Vector in the back of the model as well. That is going quite well so far. I'll do a separate little video update on that one because I had to make a little mezzanine floor to put the Vector in. Unfortunately, that does mean that the full-size Sky Hunter build has now been delayed because I've nicked it out of the full-size Sky Hunter to go in there. Whatever. So I'm so late on the Sky Hunter, I've kind of just gone, whatever. So we'll focus on the Harrier and try and get that one out for the weekend as well. So yeah, as many of you already know, I kind of like the Harrier. It's got some good points onto it. I think I've just got to put my hand up and say that I overloaded the airframe and put too big of a battery in it. I think that's the mistake which I've made. That's why I had so much up trim in there. It will take the battery. It did fly. It didn't fall out the sky, really, did it? It didn't exert any bad behaviours other than having a shed ton of up trim in it. So, yeah, bit of a curiosity one with that one. Right, anyway, there's been enough chatting. Let's get to Shout Out Corner. This is my favourite part of the day. And apologies I missed this last week. This is where I get to say good morning, good afternoon, or a good evening to you. So, Brad, how you doing, sir? John, oh, that's a new name. John Knight, morning, S800 bet for the first long-range wing. No is the answer to that. Put that question in the Facebook group, John. There's a link to that in the video description. And literally, there are over 2,500 cool pilots like me and you in that group. And I guarantee you they will come back with many, many suggestions. And probably none of them will be an S800 for a long-range wing. So great question, by the way. Good morning, Lauren, and good morning, Bernie, as well. Andrew, Dad, good morning. Mukas, good morning. Bernie, good morning. I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, so if I miss your name, I do apologise in advance. Killer Dave, good morning. Paul, good morning too. Elijah, good morning. Phil, who else have we got on here? I'm just scrolling back up the chat here because we were having a bit of a chit-chat this morning. Anad Anel, Sipler, FPV. I hope today's RC coffee chat is far more interesting than yesterday's, because somebody turned up yesterday, but no, it was for today. Shane, good morning as well. And who have I missed? I know there's Shane, I've caught, and there was somebody else right at the beginning. Brian. Both Brians as well. Brian Blog and Brian Slater, good morning too. Les, good morning. Penguins can fly, apparently. Howdy, Les, as well. And happy days. Right, that was Shout Out Corner. Good morning. Right, let's get back to the next topic here this morning. Next topic is Simon's questions answered. So what are we talking about in the Facebook group? Simon had a couple of questions for us. So let's just pause for a few moments to have a quick look at them. Possible topics when Andy is flying is bushfire. Someone is coming. Check weather for next week. Yeah, we're not. I doubt we're flying it next weekend at the Funny Farm. And we definitely do have lighter nights coming up for some evening flights. Brilliant. But do remember, I'm very much a morning person rather than an evening person. Overnight summer camp at the Funny Farm, if possible. It's funny you should say that because that has come up as a topic of discussion. We didn't do it last year. There was a few things like logistically which we didn't do. Or didn't really resolve, but they're actually quite cheap to resolve. So we'll get those fixed, and we may be doing an RC Funny Farm event this year at some point in time. Next question. Really, was that a shirt you were wearing? Yes, I was wearing a shirt in last night's live episode. Today, I'm also wearing a shirt as well. Normally, just sometimes I fancy wearing a shirt. Don't think for one moment they're posh shirts. The shirt I was wearing last night cost me £10.50. We went to as some of you may know, we've got a pony for the kids and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we went to one of those horse supply shops. And if you've ever been to one of those, it was a huge, great big warehouse. It was really cool. I walked around and there was like a shirt in the plastic bags. And I thought, that looks kind of nice. And I thought it said 15 quid on it. So I thought that was pretty cheap. Anyway, turned around and went back and had a look. It said £10.50, so I walked them over too. Brilliant. So, yeah, it has been known that I will wear a shirt from time to time. And that really is out of choice. Never a tie, but I will wear a shirt. Simon also asked, 18650 batteries, do you have them running in a plane? And what do you think? I think they're great. Almost 2 hours nearly for the FX61. So yes, I do use 18650 batteries. The recent use of them was in the Mini Skywalker. Here she is, my little pony, just there next to me, sat next to my desk. And I used a pair of them in there, and it flies great. Even just mucking around, and no idea on their efficiency. I've got a couple of 2S packs which I've been and made, and they work great. So yeah, I like those. Also, on a serious point, I do have a 4S 1P pack, which I use in the Nano Talon, and I've not pushed that battery to its limits yet. I know that there's more in it, but normally once I've done my normal kind of little flight pattern with the Nano Talon, is that I'm back and I can get it down and landed. So yeah, 18650 batteries, they're more expensive, but they do have they have a higher power density. So I've done a separate video on those. I do think they're really, really good in the right applications. And the last question, which I thought was a really good one, foam addiction. Would you ever take up flying a real plane, glider or paraglider? So let me just be clear on this one. I think gliders are just really dangerous. Like, where's your motor? Like, you've seen my flying. I need motors to get me out of trouble. I do feel with a glider, you're kind of screwed, because if you do get yourself into trouble, you've got no way, and I mean absolutely no way, of getting yourself out of the brown. So no, I would never do an unpowered glider flight. I just think that's just suicide. In my head, it's probably not. We don't hear it on the news every week that someone's been stuffed in a glider because they flew it like a plunker. It's not this anymore. So glider, no. Real plane, yes, I would consider that. Paraglider, yeah. I really had to restrain myself last year. Me and my cousin is a mechanic. We have been seriously considering going halvesies on a paraglider. And then just going out for a spin, to be honest, because it can't be that hard. And personally, personally speaking, as long as I stay away from trees, I think I'll be fine. My issue is with trees. It's not power lines or anything like that, or buildings. It's trees are my issue, and also fellow pilots. So if I stay away from fellow pilots and trees, I think I'll be fine in a paraglider. I don't know if that'll happen this year, but it could be quite good fun. But again, I'll definitely go for a powered option too. So yeah, Simon, really, really good questions. Thank you for putting those in the Facebook group last night. I did think they were really, really cool. Oh, one topic which I missed. is that there's a link to this in the video description. Somebody's been and made all the Harrier bits for the S1100. Literally all the bits for all the model are available for 3D printing. Even like the little catchy things as well. Someone's done a really good job, like a scarily good job on it, and to the point I had to see if the bloke actually worked for a Reptile, because those parts are complete, to say the least. Very peculiar. So yeah, there are 3D printable parts for the Reptile Harrier kicking around already, literally already, and the models only just come out, which was a bit peculiar, if you asked me. Right, and next topic, and by the way, I've completely missed your chat. You've been up there chatting away, you've been chatting over here, and I do apologise, Joe, if I missed you earlier as well. Let's have a quick look. Brad says, you do love trees, Matt. Yes, we do have issues with trees. And Brian, you do raise a very valid point, which is that your landings, it wouldn't be foam snow. So, yeah, a bit of a serious one, that one. So, yeah, I won't have a punt. The thing is that to get like a proper pilot's license here in the UK, you are talking anywhere from like £6,000 to £10,000, which is a lot of money for something which I'm frankly not really into. I much prefer the RC models, to be honest, and the banter and stuff which goes with that. So yeah, I'll do it for a laugh. I've been up in small outlight aircraft before. It's really good fun, but not as much fun as FPV and the whole variety of what you get with RC models. Brilliant. Right, let's move on. Yeah, anybody got deja vu? It was last week. I was sat right here moaning, oh, what's going on with all the models lately? You know, we've had a right desolate spell of them. And then what we had a bonsai. We've had a right old collection of models turn up and get underway. And there was me last night with 4 more. So what's going on? And we've also got the Sidewinder, which is due out to come very, very shortly. I have been on the Hobby King site hitting the refresh button to see if it's going to turn up in the UK warehouse sooner or later. Those of you which can't wait, the Sidewinder has been and turned up. It is in the European warehouse. It's just not been and hit the UK warehouse yet. So hopefully that's today. We'll see. And then we'll get that one out and give it a damn good smash around. So I am keeping an eye on the Hobby King website for when that Sidewinder comes out, because it looks like it's going to be a good one. So we'll find out very, very shortly. And that kind of puts on. Last night we had, what was it, 2 puller wings. We had another little wing as well. And then we had... Look at that, Lauren. Does that give you like an idea of the scale on it? Look at it. It's tiny. I got a little baby plane. So, yeah, I wasn't kidding. Last night I went off and started trying to put this thing together. Now, I've run into a couple of issues, and many of it's around about my lack of servos. I'm sure I've got a motor which will go on this one okay, but I've run out of servos, so I need to put in a Hobby King order in today for this one, for the servos for it. I was right, it was a Python Racer, and I've done a little overview video for this one, and rather than me chat about it loads, I'll put a link to that in the video description below, so if you want to go and watch and find out a little bit more about this one, it's in there. And yes, I have put some carbon fibre in there, but as you can see, it's very dinky, and I am really, really looking forward to flying this one. So I reckon it's going to be fun. It's not the normal stuff. Imagine that out the front. It is going to be really, really cool. And don't panic that the elevator surface is hanging off. I've not even glued it in yet. So yeah, bit of a cutie. There's a overview video which I've not been published yet. That's in the video description. Good morning, Dan and Danny as well. Right. Senior stick. Right. Thank you, Bernie. You've seen Bernie's comment up there. It's just, oh, I can't put my hand up far enough. Bernie says, we've seen you fly, Matt. Stick to RC. Thank you for the confidence, sir. Right. Next topic. I make no apologies. Some of you have probably already seen the video where I go off on a slight bender, effing and blinding, about the stupid ESC which Hobby King matched up with the Bonsai. And I thought about this afterwards. And, well, should I have posted that? Should I have done that? Why did I get so annoyed with it? And I've actually come to the conclusion that I'm not going to apologise for my behaviour or nor my language or what I did to that poor ESC afterwards, is because I do have a bit of passion about models, and I do get a bit involved with foam. We all have our weaknesses, and I'm afraid no apologies for that, and I'm sure you'll appreciate that too. Sometimes things get tampered with, not for the better. The Bonsai 2, most people would consider a 2 is better than a 1 because it's a bigger number. And in my humble opinion, right now, the Bonsai 2 is not a step forwards in the right direction. There has been some changes to it. I like the idea it comes out in multiple colours. I like the motor mount, but when the description doesn't say what it doesn't match what the actual reality is, and it's blatantly obvious that nobody's actually tested out their own products, and I am pointing to one person specifically, you know who you are, it is rather frustrating. So you may get, again, speaking to someone directly at Hobby King, you may think, Matt, what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not apologising for it, because I do feel it has been messed with, and unfortunately not for the better. That said, we do have a Bonsai 2 Maiden, a Bonsai 2 video which is coming out, and I've also done the Maiden as well. And there's some very honest conversations going on in there with Craig about the Bonsai, and I do feel they've been enmeshed with a timeless classic, which is now not being made timeless, although it is a classic, because it has been tampered with, and it's not for the better, unfortunately. So no apologies for my language, which I published a very short time ago about the Bonsai. It's not what it should have been, which is such a shame. Such a shame. Anyway, moving on to a more positive note, is that I have set myself a new challenge. Instagram, or as I call it, FaceBalls. I've set myself a new challenge to post 1,000 RC related videos and images onto Instagram over the next couple of weeks, just to see what happens, you know. I have seen some good results so far, and there has been quite a bit which I've posted on there which you may or may not have seen in the Facebook group, because it is now becoming a bit of a challenge to post videos in and images in both of them. I'm kind of doing my best, but do be aware there is going to be content which is only on Facebook, and now there's also going to be content which is available on Instagram. So I've been to put a link to the my Instagram doodah, which is basically at @ragthenutsoff. Follow if you want to. In short, there's a link to that in the video description. We are getting along quite far, and there is the odd cat photo of Gingy in there, thrown in there from time to time, because he is an absolute nutter. Right. And so you asked the ESC if it's craps, and it said yep. Yeah, absolutely terrible, terrible ESC. Hey ho. Next topic is up and coming episodes. There's about 6 or 7 episodes which have not been published yet, like the lawn dart episode, like the GB. There's an RC model car, Nitro RC model car, in there. Well, 2 videos on that as well. There's links to those in the video description, so you're kind of bored this morning or this evening, stick one of those on. If you're looking for a longer kind of episode, then we do have one of the Calfball episodes, which nobody's been guessed the right name of Calfball yet. It has 2 swear words in it, just to give you a hint. And we go and look at my motors box, and that was recorded at about 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and it's just me and you having a chit chat about stuff out the workbench. And motors in general. So if you want a slightly longer episode, that one will be out later this week. But if you want a heads up, there's a link to that in the video description. And as you may tell, after having that period of time when I've been where I need to go away for a period of time. I've still got a chunk of work to get done, but as you can maybe tell, I've smelt that summer's on its way, and I've got myself back into full RC swing, ready for spring when it arrives and summer when it turns up in October. Right, it is time for me to wrap up as well. Let me have a quick note on there. No, I haven't seen that one, by the way, Andrew. You can see that was going on, the chat which is going on above my head. Right, time for me to wrap up. Let me just recap the topics for today's RC Coffee Chat. Awkward! That really is awkward. New model. No, you've only put new stickers on it. And it has been nicknamed the Lawn Dart, unfortunately, for a very good reason. I think my last, 20 seconds of that video sums it up very, very nicely, that one. The Rapid Rare Meet KY. It's gonna be bonkers. So that's just a little fun project which is in process at the moment. Oh, the Reptile Harrier. Yeah, I hands up, I think I've overloaded the airframe on that one by putting too big of a battery in it. That's why I had too much up elevator in it. So yeah, that one still needs to be explored with what's going on with that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that one. But do look out for some snaps on that one in the Facebook group over the next day or so as well. We had Simon's questions. So Simon, some really good questions there. Give you a hint there. There's most likely going to be a bit of an RC funny farm session at some point this year. Details will follow at some point in the near future. WTF last week. Yeah, there was me talking about this last week, saying it's been a bit desolate on the old model front, and then literally last night 4 new models turned up. Bit of obscure ones as well, weren't they? Including that one. How cute is that? I really like that. It's gonna be great fun. How long it lasts me, nobody knows. Probably not very long, but I do really like it. I thought it was pretty cool. And then the other topic was I make no apologies. I make no apologies for getting passionate about foam. And that does mean that I will go off on a slight little bender, or sometimes a big bender every now and again, and get really frustrated with other people's. It is not a version 2. I'm sorry. It's not a version 2. It's a version 1 which has been messed around for not the better. And I wasn't impressed with that because... And the reason why I'm not impressed about the Bonsai 2 is because I've personally had I got so many fond memories of the Bonsai 1 to see, and for somebody else not to have those kind of experiences because they're to get to the same what I had before is not really on. Because if somebody does follow the Hobby King's description and buy an 850 2S battery, is that they will have to add a shed load of lead. And I'm not making that up. It says in the description, well, number one, it says it's an XT60 connector, and number two, it says 850 2S battery, which will not be heavy enough, and any of the suggested batteries will also not be heavy enough unless you choose a 3S and not a 2S. So yeah, there's going to be intentional foam snow from lack of descriptions, and that bit really annoys me. Anyway, Instagram will be going on I've already started going on a slight bender on Instagram. Look out for a whole raft more. As you do, personal little challenge in my head. Get to 1,000 RC images on Instagram and see what happens. So that'll be fun. We'll look out for that one now for the next couple of months, because I will be hitting Instagram hard, to say the least. And the last one is upcoming episodes. Remember, down in the video description, there's links to pretty much everything which we've been covered, and including the upcoming episodes which I've mentioned and a couple which I've not mentioned. There's links to those in the video description. So if you fancy some more mat time and some more RC whateverness, there's links to that in the video description. Right, on that note, it is time for me to wrap up. I would like to say a massive thank you to you for taking the time to watch this episode. If you have any questions or comments about anything which you've been and seen here, you can either ask in the comments section underneath this video, or nip across to the Facebook group, and again there's a link to that in the video description, and join literally over 2,500 cool pilots like me and you in there. So like John's question, which you saw earlier about the S800 and a mid to long range wing, brilliant question. Don't just ask me, ask 2,500 and X number of other cool pilots, and you will get some fantastic answers back as well. So with that said, it is time for me to go. If you have been and enjoyed today's advert-free episode, today's RC Coffee Chat, and that's almost drinkable, do me a favour, hit the thumbs up. And on that note, I'm going now. Have a fantastic day. For myself, Matt, cheerios!